All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the weekly trade report video. Today is May 28th, 2017. This is Memorial Day weekend, so we have a long weekend, and there's no stock market open on Monday, so the market will open on Tuesday. So we have a nice long weekend. Taking a look at the indexes, we can see that the Dow Jones ETF here is nearing all-time highs, so it's right near the high set back when Trump gave his speech to Congress. That was a peak, and then the market's just been basically pulling back and then kind of consolidating in a range. But it does look like it's ready to go to new highs, possibly next week. And so the market does look strong. It looks good. And if we take a look at the SPY, you can see that the SPY is already broken out to new highs, so that's a very good thing to see. So it had been in this range between 232 and 240, and now it's into new high territory. So the market's looking strong, looking good here. So good to see that. The Russell 2000 ETF, still got some room to go before it hits new highs. It's still holding between this 134 and 141 range. So nothing spectacular there, but holding the key support down here at 134. So we'll see if this one can perk up and make new highs as well. Taking a look at just a couple of the specific ETFs sectors. The IBB. So the IBB is kind of pulling back. You can see that it's pulling back near a key support, which around this 286 spot. It's 288 right now. So it's kind of an important level at this 286. We'll see if that can hold. If that breaks, then the next support would be somewhere down here. Hopefully the IBB can hold this support and just kind of rally back up near the highs. But at this point, who knows what's going to happen. But basically the IBB is coming up to a really critical pivot point, and we'll see if it can hold that level. The energy sector, once again, long downtrend, possibly putting in some bottoming action. You can see it's down here at 66, which was the recent low set back here. So before we need to break this downtrend, you got to start putting in basically transition from lower highs and lower lows into higher highs and higher lows. So that's what you want to start seeing. But right now we may be setting up a bottoming formation on the energy sector, but we'll have to just see how that plays out. Nothing compelling on the chart at this point. And this is the semiconductor ETF. Just wanted to show this one how strong this one's been. It's way up here, kind of extended from the 50-day moving average, so it looks like it may be getting extended, but just very strong, leading the market, the semiconductor sector. So that's all the sector ETFs we'll take a look at. Now we'll get into my individual trades from last week and kind of my thought process and some of the mistakes I made, things like that. Alright, so first up is this ORMP. So I still really like this chart, but I did take a loss on this one. It wasn't a very big loss, but so if we kind of zoom in, what I was seeing on this chart was an ascending triangle when it still looks like it could be forming. What I want to do is, okay, so there's kind of the resistance around 840, 850 area. Let's call it 850, right? And you kind of have this rising trend line, right? Something like this. So what it looks like this ORMP is doing is possibly putting in a lower high here. So it could be bottoming out here at around 818, which would be a higher low than this low, which was a higher low than this low. So it's still forming. It's still forming this pattern. So I still like this chart, but I bought it back here, and then I sold it at around 840 or 838 or something like that. So I did take a small loss on this one, but I'm continuing to monitor it. We'll see if it can kind of perk back up through that 840, 850 area and really get some momentum. I still like this chart, but it just didn't. On this day I had a nice, pretty decent profit. I could have sold up here, sometime during this day, but I thought, okay, it's going to hold, and then it didn't. so I went ahead and cut it. So that just happens sometimes when you're swing trading. Sometimes you give back some profits, but that's okay. I'll keep watching this one. I still like the chart of ORMP. AKAO, another one that this one really fell off. It had a nice formation though. This spotted around 26. It looked like it wanted to break it, and then they came out with news of doing a public offering, and so the stock got hit pretty good on this day. Actually, on this big red day, it actually could have gone either way. It looked like it was going to break, and it just crapped. So that's why you kind of gotta make sure that you cut your losses. And so this was one, I think that, I don't know if I traded it last week or the week before, or if I even talked about it on last week's video, but it was a small loss. I believe that I entered, I think this was maybe a week and a half ago. But anyway, I bought this one, and then this one kind of crapped. I think it was on this day, and so I did take a small loss on that one. It didn't actually break through the 26 area, and so I went ahead and got out of the position. So anyway, that's just a failed breakout and just another small loss on AKAO. So Fold was a nice breakout that I traded, and you can see where I had this spot at around 810. Okay, so if I can recall accurately, I believe I bought this on 810, and then it shot all the way up to 845. So I was feeling pretty good about this stock. And then the next day, it started to roll over, and I cut it at around 8:15, I believe. So basically near the lows of the day. So I still made a profit, but I could have held for a couple more days. You can see it had a pretty nice push, but then now it's all the way back below that. And it's pulled all the way back, down to this 8 area or below 8. So, this trade was basically a small profit. Maybe this 8 area holds for Fold, and maybe it can come back on, but it just goes to the importance of kind of trimming and trailing, taking some position off as it goes in your favor. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get these moves, and then you get continuation, and you wish you would have held. And sometimes you hold hoping for a bigger move, and then you kind of give some back. So you never really know, and so you just kind of have to decide how much position you want to hold longer term for a bigger move, and how much you want to trim off. And so sometimes you get a bigger move, and then sometimes it kind of gives it back. So that's just the nature of the game. Okay, so Suns, this is I'll just say it's a bad trade on my part. I was looking for this thing, if you take a look at this chart, to bounce off of kind of this, right in this area here, which was 690, or if you take a look at right in here, a whole number mark would have been 7. So there's a couple key areas right around here. It looked like, based on this breakout, I'd pulled back, and I thought, okay, maybe this thing's going to bounce off the 7 spot and get a nice, breakout pullback type setup. And basically there was no bounce. It just kept falling. And so if we could just kind of go back even further, you can see that key spot right there at 690 there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this looks like a really key support, and I thought there was a pretty good chance to get a bounce off this, but it didn't do it. And so honestly, I probably should have waited till it tried to put in a bottom and then started based on intraday price action to show some upside momentum before even entering it. But I was just basically impatient, thinking, okay, it's near 7, I'm going to buy some before it bounces, and then it just kept falling. So I had to cut it. Probably should have cut it sooner, but I cut it around 680, and so I took the loss on this one. And you can see it closed 4 straight days. And I think the company's merging with another company, and I'm not really sure how that affects the price. I think it's just going to be a new ticker symbol with the new company. But so that's what that was. Probably a bad trade. And if we take a look at these breakout pullbacks, here's one that actually was a successful breakout pullback. IXYS, you can see how that one broke, pulled back to this 1440, and then bounced off that. So that was one that actually did pretty good, would have been worth a trade. And then, if I think back even further to Cliff, let's take a look at Cliff. So Cliff was one that I traded a long several months ago, and kind of with a similar thought process of a breakout pullback. So if you take a look at this one, you had this break, and then Cliff kind of pulled back, and I thought, okay, this area right here should be a support, and you can see where it just kept falling. And so going forward, I really think that I'm going to avoid the pullback setups and really just focus on the breakouts. If the pullbacks hold, and then maybe I have to buy it a little bit higher after bounces off the support if I want to trade it, but trying to buy the pullbacks, the breakout pullbacks, it seems to me it's just not as effective. It's not as the success rate is not as high as a breakout. So that's just something I'm keeping in mind going forward, is to kind of veer away from those. Okay, CBAY. CBAY was one on Friday that was on the watch list, and so this one had a key spot right around, depending on how you look at the chart here, this kind of area in this range from back here, 425 to even 440 area, somewhere in there was a break, and you can see where it had some. So on Thursday it closed up here, and it was on watch for a breakout on Friday, and sure enough it got the breakout. Had big volume, and it closed above all these wicks, so it did make a new high, new 52-week high. So it's actually, so a new 52-week high, and almost looks like almost a 2-year high. But looking at this chart, I actually bought into this one. I bought into this one at 440, so I could have gotten a little lower, but I did pull the trigger finally on 440, and it ramped up and got as high as 480. And I'm still holding my position, and we'll see what happens if this thing can keep going. I do think my target is around $5, and if we take a look at the chart, I'm using this kind of low area here as the low of 330, and then let's call it 440 is the break, right? So roughly 90 cents. So that would be kind of a measured target of like maybe from the breakout 450 to 540, something like that would be a measured move. But just to try to play conservative, I'm thinking maybe this thing can get to 5, and we'll just need it to hold above this 440 spot. It's kind of the area where I entered. So I want to see this thing hopefully get some continued momentum Tuesday, and see if we can get a push through Friday's high and then a new run. So we'll see if that can happen, but the chart does look really good on CBAY. So that's my only current swing position, is CBAY. Alright, so I also wanted to talk a little bit about this one that I forgot to talk about on last week's video, which was EWZ, which is a successful trade that I made. And so this was some news of the Brazilian president, who I guess is involved in some fraud. And so the Brazilian market had this huge sell-off day, and I bought this thing on near the lows at 31.90. And the thought process on this one was, it was a huge sell-off, and I just thought this thing could do a bounce. And so I bought this one and held it, and the next day it gapped up, and I sold it at around 34.40 or something like that, before on the pre-market open. And so this was a nice, just one-day trade, basically a really oversold, looking for a recovery bounce, and it actually worked. And since then I haven't really traded it, but it's just kind of grinding higher, and I don't really see anything on the Brazilian, on the EWZ at this point, but just wanted to kind of go over that trade. Alright, so now let's just talk about some of the names on the watch list that I didn't trade, but let's just kind of see how they played out. So this BLPH, once again got rejected at 160, and so I don't see anything on this chart now. Maybe if you can get back to 160, it might be worth watching it again, see if it can break through that level, but nothing there now. Okay, Zixi is another one. Basically had this big green candle and then kind of flagged, so that was on radar there, and then it had another green candle and broke that, so now it looks like it's flagging again. So the next level to watch would be a clean break through this candle wick high at $6. So if this one get through 6, I think it's worth a buy. So the Zixi is on watch still through that $6 spot. NIOT, another one. Couple key areas right here based on the thick part of this candle, the opening price at 240, and so you can see 240 area, and then finally it broke that, and now it's testing the high of this candle wick around 260. So this NIOT's another one. Looks like it could get a nice push, so one to watch for next week through 260. OCUL, this one finally got a break on Friday. So here's kind of the resistance spot, 1040 on this candle, and then kind of flagged out, and then finally got some volume in and broke through, broke out on some good volume on Friday. So this is one that I missed, but so it's one to keep an eye on for some, maybe a pullback or a flag out, create like a flag pattern for higher, going higher. Okay, EPZM, just a failed breakout, had some resistance up here at 1830 area and got rejected and pulled back, so nothing there now. VSTM, still really like this chart, had this spot at 220, broke that, and now so it's got some resistance at 250. It's tested it several times, pulled back, tried to test it again, pulled back, and so it's still holding a really constructive chart pattern. So if we take a look at this, it's just kind of, this trend line, see across these lows, you can see it's still following that pattern, still following that trend line up. So next spot, look for this one to hold this trend line, put in a higher low, and then retest that 250. So that one, if you can get through 250, be worth trying. CBLI had a spot at 360-ish, and you can see had a big break, and then it pulled back, held at 360. So now this one could be kind of a breakout pullback, hold this 360 and then ramp back up again. One to watch, biotech trade. Still a decent looking chart there. Form, this is probably probably the best looking setup, or one of the best looking setups for next week. And you can see it had a big break, had a pullback, and now it's just kind of flagging just below the breakout level at let's say 1450 area. 1445, 1450. This one I think is going to go. I think this one's going to break and make a move next week. So definitely one to watch. FORM. NKTR. This is one on watch for a breakthrough 20. You can see how the big breakout, pulled back, and then put in a higher low right here, and then this recent pivot spot around 20, broke that one on some good volume, and now it looks like it's just flagging out for a couple days before the next move up. I think this one can go back up here to say 24. Yeah, so it rallied back above the 50-day, and so wouldn't be surprised to see this one heading back towards the 24 spot. VCRA, decent move, not a fast mover. So anyway, this one I probably won't trade this one, but longer term, a nice looking uptrend there. STDY, another one that really creating a nice chart pattern here. It's kind of broke out, pulled back, and just kind of in a sideways action. And so some resistance right up here at 740. You can see the rising 50 days kind of catching up to it. So this little basing pattern here is getting really tight and could perk up through this 740 area any day. So this STDY, one to watch. Really like this chart. TGTX, another biotech, really liking the action here. Back above the 50-day. See here, pulled back, lower highs, lower lows, and then right here found a support at this $10 area, key support. And so now it's rallying back up, and so I'd watch it through say 1250, 1260 area for an entry, and potential could be going up here to the recent highs at 1450 area. So TGTX, really like that one as well. CO, here's a nice breakout through 8 right there. It's a first day break and then all the way up at 9. So if you're looking for a profit target on this, you could use this low right here at 680 and then this low at 720 to kind of take the difference there. Let's just call it 7. So 7 as a depth, 7 to 8 would give you $1 depth, and then that would give you a target of 9. So that one would have been a hit the target there, first target of 9. PIRS had a nice spot at 420, and so you can see that one had a nice break, so kind of gave some back, but nice steady uptrend on this PIRS. Okay, AGRX, this one you can see had a big move, pulled back, and so you can see it's getting tighter and tighter range. The lows are getting higher and tighter. So this one, if it can get through 360, it'd be worth a trade. Small cap bio. And so I like this one through maybe a 360 spot if it can get going. One to keep on the radar. AMRI, nice break through, see 18 right there. And had a nice break on some good volume on Thursday, and then some nice continuation after intraday pulled back to 18, held that, and then rallied back up. So AMRI still looking good. ORBC, I think this one is eventually going to get up here to $10 and break that level. Kind of holding this 50-day and tested this $10 breakout spot once, twice, and looks like it wants to retest it again, see if we can get through 10. So I like that one, ORBC. LPTH, resistance up here at 325, 320. Tested it here, tested it here, tested it again and failed, so we'll see if we can retest that 320 and get a break. MAS, nice bull flag, some highs at 37.50, and see if that one can actually get through 37.50 after flagging out for a few weeks here. Alright, PDLI, this one closed at 240, so the high of the day, even though it's showing 237. But the key spot on this one, 240 and then like 242, but I think 240 is a key spot. If it can get through 240 with some volume, this will be worth a trade. I really like the look of this chart. You can see 240 was back here, the resistance. Really getting tight. Looks like it wants to get through 240, so watch for some volume and this one to get going. Really like the PDLI chart. Okay, PAR. So it's closed on Friday right at near the highs, 858 area, 857. So this one looks like it could be breaking out of a flag. Not a fast mover, but nice looking setup, PAR. Okay, EXAC, Exact Tech, spot at 31. Okay, big ramp up, putting in a tight flag. Looks like it wants to break through 31. Good spot to watch on that one. Yeah, so this is a one year high, 52-week high on this one. So this just looks like a nice bull flag, getting ready for a higher move. Okay, Brew. Nice flag, big breakout, pull back. Now it's ramping back up near 17. So this one on a 17 break could be worth a trade. And you could use the depth. Let's just call it 16 to 17. So I'll give you an 18 target on BREW. Still like that one. And last up is this SGMS spot at around 24. Tested it here, pulled back, retest, higher low, getting tighter and tighter, and closed just below 24. So through 24 with some volume, be worth a trade on this SGMS. Alright guys, that's all I got for this week. Hope you guys have a good rest of your Memorial Day weekend, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday. Thanks.